commencera bientôt. Profitera.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Volt Larson. And folks, there's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing or which way the river's flowing. You thought that you were gonna, flow down that college degree. You're gonna get a nice job. Maybe you're gonna go to a school, teach some kids their ABCs. You thought maybe you're gonna make some career for yourself. Not a chance. Guess why? In rural New York State. That's right. Rural. They're coming for you in the boondocks, in the sticks. They are deploying what is known as Sally, a $57,590 humanoid drone teacher. Listen. It is in the 11th and 12th grade. The AI robotics are going to assist children. They're going to be like these little things that sit in the corner. And if the kids want, they can go talk to it. And the kids, by the way, the whole thing that they're going to pitch this to you by is like, hey, Catholic schools, also other schools, like schools in like rural Florida where the teachers date the kids. Not going to happen with our AI robot. And you can rest assured knowing that our AI priest is not going to sexually assault your child. He's just going to control him via MK Ultra, vision beams. They're getting listen, back in the day, back when you went to Catholic school, they used to have to sexually assault you. They used to have to Jesuit train you. They used to have to make you respond to a code word, all these sorts of things. Nowadays, they just get the bluey and whatnot to beam these kind of signals and reprogram the kids' brains but psychologically before the kid's even 5 years old. Now listen, these humanoid robots, they say that they're not going to replace teachers, but they will be. By the 2030s, a lot of these we have a teacher shortage. Not enough people too many lazy sons of bitches not wanting to be teachers. Let's just let the robots teach our kids. Now we know for a fact that there's not going to be anything weird between the kids and the teachers. That's a big problem when you have humans teaching the children. Now you're not going to have that problem because it's going to be a silicon bitch named Sally. Does that make you comfortable? Listen, we're doing this for you, actually. Do you really want to see those bummy-ass real teachers, saddle up to the liquor store after every day of dealing with children's bullshit all day? Or do you want to be able to power down your teachers and then just let them sit in the classroom all weekend? And then you don't have to worry about the teacher's alcohol problems. You don't have to worry about whether or not they're sleeping with one of your students. You, as the principal, just know that you have a fleet of humanoid robots that are going to teach the children rather than these fwibble, these, fallible, these really humans are gross. In all honesty, why do we want them around children? That's the exact argument. Humans are flawed. They are, inherently when they're adults, they're beings that are going to insert their own political values into their lessons. You don't want any of that sort of stuff. You don't want some adult teaching your kid a bunch of random shit. They're playing into the fear angle. They're playing into the angle where it's no, it's actually going to be good when, teachers don't have jobs anymore. It's going to be good when you don't have to worry about whether or not, where am I going to take my kid? The daycare? All the daycare centers are stocked by these robots that are going to know exactly how to pick up a baby. They're going to know exactly how to, change diapers. You're not going to have to deal with the humans to leave your baby with anymore. It's all going to be these animated droids where essentially now here's the thing. It's going to be a lot harder if your child ends up getting hurt by maybe one of these robots, how they have these glitches where they'll suddenly throw shit or they'll kick their legs up and they'll fall over and whatnot. If your child is injured in one of these humanoid robot things where maybe the teacher is trying to teach your kid how to count and it's using its fingers and whatnot and it takes those fingers and shoves two fingers right into your kid's eye and blinds them. It's what the move that they would always do in those Three Stooges where it's bink, they'd hit them on the forehead and it's fast enough to where it looks like they hit each other in the eyes, but it's one of those old film mechanic type things. That's what the robot will do to your child. And it's not going to be a big joke. It's not going to be a big joke because this humanoid robot is going to blind your children.
Rural upstate New York school district. They're bringing humanoid robot teachers into the classroom. Check out Sally here. That's her name. These students are going to be... See, Sally would give me nightmares if I was in first grade. They're going to have access to these bots. It has silicone skin, long brown hair, facial expressions. You can see some upper body movements. I think she's teaching the kids to count on her.
She's fingering her fingers around and shit like that. She's bizarre. I think she's teaching them how to count.
I don't know. What class is she teaching?
School officials say the robots aren't meant to replace teachers. Instead,
Sure.
they serve as classroom assistants.
Sure.
Part of a pilot program, and the company behind the robots
Pilot.
hope to deploy
A pilot program. Pilot meaning like we're testing it out. You don't put a pilot out for a show that you don't plan to maybe decide whether or not you want to bring it to series. You put out a pilot to see if it really works, to see if people gravitate towards this, to see if it fucks up one of these kids, to see if it accidentally, if it gets a jolt of electricity and it goes above that point whatever volts, that hydraulic arm that you think is going to be so safe is going to karate chop some kid in the fucking chin, and you're going to break some kid's jaw. I'm scared for this because listen, I know people are going to go, they're not going to make it dangerous enough. They're not going to make it it has to be big enough to move around a classroom. It has to be big enough to pick up its own 100-pound whatever frame body. This can only go badly. Putting these machines that we know are capable of karate-like moves in classrooms with, as we know, I don't know if you're familiar with children. They're pretty, soft. They're not very durable. They're not known for their ability to not break bones. They tend to do that. And whether or not you believe that that's a safety concern, whether or not you believe that this heavy machinery inside of a classroom, that's not going to be a major concern. Fine, sure. Maybe you don't think that it's going to go, Terminator on these kids. You don't think that it's going to bash their heads in. That's what I think is going to happen, unfortunately. But regardless, how comfortable are you just sitting with yourself right now? How comfortable are you? Think about it right now, about the idea of this robot being inside of your Catholic school, because I know that some of you guys are weirdos and some of you guys don't realize that it's you're sending your children to a trafficking school. But the people that when you send your kid to the Catholic school, would you rather they be around some creepy old man who might have some internal desires, or would you rather have Sally? We can put her in the nun outfit. We can give her a ruler to hit the kids with. Not too hard, you know what I mean, but enough to give them bruises and enough to give them emotional trauma they'll look back on for the rest of their lives. But that's what the Catholic schools are going to be now. Listen, when South Carolina pastors are getting charged after sex offenders are found to be working at schools run by churches, I don't know what else to tell you other than maybe it's a good idea. Maybe, am I on the side of big tech here? Maybe I am. Maybe the idea is that human beings are too fallible, especially the ones in religion, especially the ones in Catholic schools, especially the ones that are in schools straight up. There's unfortunately a lot of people that should not be working in schools that are, as we've already been, we figure it out every single day when a new scandal comes out. Now, here, I'm going to play this clip. South Carolina sheriff announced charges are being brought after a convicted sex offender was found working at a school run by this church. And this gentleman, this pastor, didn't bother, I guess, to look into the background enough to... And by the way, it's not hard to figure out if somebody's a registered sex offender. It's not that hard. But apparently, he goes ahead, he violates his parole because obviously you cannot be within however many, yards. How far is it? If you've been charged with something, you can't be within this distance of a school or a child or something like that. Obviously, he's in the class, so that's a big violation of it. And then this pastor obviously allowed him to be near the children. So here's his interaction with the police officer, and I want you to keep this in the back of your head the entire time. This could have all been avoided if we had Sally teaching these kids about, I don't know, what do you learn about in Sunday school besides I don't know, how to avoid getting raped by being a decent enough candle boy? Because that's what I always hear from the altar boys. They were like, yeah, I was I was always out. I would always leave church early so that I wouldn't get left alone with Pastor McClellan or whatever the shit. And every former person who I know from a Catholic church who's did the thing where they light the candles, they do the snuffing at the end of it. Those people are the biggest concubines, unfortunately, that were they were the deepest victims. You should pray for them in all honesty. They'll never be honest about it. They'll never be straightforward and tell you about the deep programming that went on with them and Father behind the church. But listen, that's not actually, it wasn't behind the church. They actually have entire, they have catacombs underneath the church that are dedicated to this kind of behavior. But listen, they won't need to do that when we finally phase out, and I don't know why, because that's the only thing that religion exists for, is to sexually assault people and to assert power and dominance in the New World Order. That is the only thing that really religion is used for. So, I guess we won't really need Sally by that point if we just completely dismantle religion. But in the meantime, wouldn't it be so much better that if you want to be one of these passive Catholics that wants to give your money to a sex trafficking organization every Sunday, and you want to feel like a good person, and you want to feel like you're dedicated to something, anything, besides, I don't know, anything else besides sexually assaulting children that you would really, really love to put your dollars towards. I don't know, for some reason. There's these grandmas, they're giddy. They're like, let's get ready. Sunday, we're heading out and whatnot. And it's like, oh my God, you're maniacal for this. You're a freak. In the meantime, I guess, would you rather that we stock these Catholic churches with creepy old sex offenders, which is, by the way, the only people that are getting deeply involved in religion? Or do you want the robots to be teaching your children about Jeremiah or the 40 days of temptation in the desert? Would you rather that? It's one of the two. One of the two. You get one of the two options, especially at Catholic schools and most religious schools. This includes the Jews and the Muslims. Don't think you can run away from this critique. It's all of you fucking weirdo creeps. And, you're no better than Scientologists. I continue to emphasize that. Would you rather, you sending your kid to a nice little Catholic school, would you rather have the robot teach him? Or would you rather have this fucking weirdo? We are taking him into custody. Excuse me? This is Don Williams, former pastor of Pawleys Island Community Church. And he's like, excuse me? You're taking this fella who I hired, who's a sex offender, who hangs around children in my church school? What? You're taking him away?
He will go to bond court. What complaints have you received that he was in violation of his... He's had contact with minors. He's not allowed to have contact with minors. Good, define contact with minors.
What a Christian response. Good, define contact with minors. Define contact with minors. He can't have any contact with minors. That's it. He cannot be near them. He can't be in the same room. This fella can't even be trusted to look at them. He might pull out his phone. Like, that is the level of seriousness that we're talking about. But as per the usual with these Catholic weirdo pieces of shit, and Jews and Muslims, all you fucking religious pieces of shit who think that you're pious, who think you're any better just because you love to worship pedophiles in their little rock star uniforms, I'm just going to be honest with you. This is the most Christian response I've ever heard. Define contact with minors.
Going in classrooms, like he can't be in the same room with minors. If he ever was, he always left.
If he ever was, he always left. I mean, he was not going into classrooms with minors, is what he's saying. What are you talking about?
He was not going into classrooms with minors.
Right. So these photos right here, along with numerous others, clearly show Mr. Perry in close proximity to the children.
Huh.
And who do you think allowed that?
I don't think they just allowed it. That's the weirdest thing, is that everybody thinks that the church and whatnot, they allow these things to happen. And that's missing the point entirely. Get educated on religion before you start commenting on it. It's not that they allow the sexual assault. The sexual assault is the point. Now, I know that this is like extra big brain. This is like high levels of intellectualized thinking, and a lot of people, they're not ready for this kind of stuff. The whole point of religion, unfortunately, and this is tough because a lot of people grew up in it. I understand. It took me a long time to realize this. It's all designed for the power. It's all designed to keep people meek, to keep people not questioning is one of the main things, one of the biggest things that religion teaches you, and they disguise it as faith. God forbid. They disguise it as faith. They disguise your ignorance and your ability to be a good goyim. By the way, this is the same behavior. You'll notice that Catholics, Jews, a lot of these types that are very into the methodicalized thinking, they get into sports. They get into the least interesting hobbies. They get into things that mean little to nothing. They have interests that are not beyond their scope of time. And by scope of time, I mean the last 50 years. Like, they talk to them about anything before that, it's going to drop off a cliff. And I'm going to be honest with you. They don't even know that much about the time period that they were born into. They barely understand, the pop culture of the time. I don't even blame them, because, in all honesty, it's the only thing they have to absorb themselves in, because they don't intellectualize around anything. As a matter of fact, they think you're dumb. Like, if you're the type that's like interested in Greek, Latin culture, if you're interested in pronunciations, if you're interested in linguists, a lot of these people, they'll mock your interest. They'll mock your want to be correct. They'll mock your desire to be one who tramps forth looking for knowledge. They're going to, by the way, these are the biggest pigs at the feast who sit around, they engorge themselves on the nice little shit slop that they have, and I am the truffle pig. I head out into the forest, I got my little fucking, my snout, and I'm going around, I'm finding truffles that will be sold, like, for thousands of dollars. You fuckers don't even know what dollars is. I'm out there finding the nuggets of the little fun, interesting little bits, and that's exactly who my audience is. It's the truffle pigs who like to go out and they like to find the little juicy things out in the forest that everybody else, they're like, that looks like shit. And it's like, no, that's a black truffle. That thing is valuable. They'd cut that shit up. Ooh, you put that on some fries. I'm a good boy. I love some fucking truffle fries. Ooh, that's good. But that's what I mean, is that unfortunately there's too many dullards. There's too many people that were, and by the way, religion bakes this into these people. Because religion, you'll notice that it's only the, like, deep in on ones. They're like, oh, I'm a priest. I'm a religious philosopher, all these types. They don't ever encourage you to be that. If you go to church, they never encourage you to look too terribly into it. They encourage you to maybe read the Bible once throughout your entire life, but they're like, try to emphasize the way that you live. It's like how Scientologists talk, where it's like, it's not necessarily whether or not how much you believe in Christ, it's how much you emphasize and practice out his teachings. That's the same shit they'll teach you in Scientology, where it's like, I don't care how much you believe in Xenu, I don't care how much you believe in the story we're telling you, does the therapeutic practices work? And in general, because EBT, all of the stuff that they do in Scientology, where it's just kind of like going back through your memories, earlier, similar and whatnot. It's the same stuff that they kind of teach you in therapy, where it's like, go over your past things and then figure out what upset you so much about them. Then these engrams in the past will be cleared and you'll be able to live a free spirited life the way that you want to, the person that you are, all that junk. That's the same thing. Listen, and I know that modern psychology is a religion. Many people don't want to get into that. That's the same thing that all of these Catholics will try to tell you. That's the same thing any Christian, any denomination in reality, if we want to be really honest. But the Catholics are just the most organized. They're the best at keeping this Tuco Salamanca level sex trafficking operation. Like, listen, this is like, guys, religion is a bunch of battling mafias to see who can sexually abuse the most women and children. That's it. That's exactly what every major religion is. It's how can we find a way to subjugate people below us? And people want to go like, oh, the Roman Empire is non-existent. All of these grand plans for the new world, they're not real. You're fucking dumb, unfortunately, if you believe that. You gotta realize that all of these sort of, this grand empire everybody wants to talk about and whatnot, where maybe they have taken the Ark of the Covenant, they've sacked the entirety of the old world. All of those riches went somewhere. All of this power transferred to someone else. All of these, like, listen, power does not really, it's much like energy. It's much like matter. It doesn't go away. It only changes form. Power changes form throughout history. That's one of the main things that you're going to learn. And it's changing form throughout our modern day. It's not something that can be held by this colonial power where, our flag really means something. Our flag, when you see it on a boat coming your way, you're going to be scared. That's not what the United States' flag on a boat means anymore. People see it and they're like, all right, great. Guys, let's get the Houthis rebels ready. Let's block up this next strait over here. By the way, Yemeni, Iranian-backed Houthi rebels on Monday have announced that they are imposing a maritime embargo on Saudi Arabia in retaliation for the blockade in Yemen and the recent attack on the Sana'a International Airport, threatening another vital waterway for global shipping. Listen, they are saying that they're going to take it out, whether or not you like it. The Bab el-Mandab it's going to be something that you're going to be hearing about really soon. They're going to choke off that point. They're going to threaten global shipping. In a televised statement, Houthi military officials framed the move as an eye for an eye response to what they described as a long-standing Saudi blockade on Yemen and recent airstrikes that targeted the Sana'a International Airport. They announced specifically places like the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, the narrow 20-mile gateway connecting the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. At the center of the renewed threat, Roughly 12% of all global sea trade passes through this waterway, and the threat is coming at a particularly vulnerable moment. Because, as we know with the Strait of Hormuz, everybody's like, I don't want to learn their name, but I'm forced to because we're going to be talking about it the next few months. Get ready for Bab al-Mandab, because you're going to be talking about that this Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen. Saudi Arabia has relied heavily on the Red Sea ports to route millions of barrels of crude oil daily, so this is going to be a major thing for them. They have an issue with the Saudis because we like the Saudis because listen, no matter how much they want to subjugate their own people, the women in their society, we like their oil, we like their trade deals, we like their real estate, and we love the Saudi money. Ladies and gentlemen, we love money. We love and they are rich. They have buckets full of gold coins. It's like Scrooge McDuck, and we love it. Listen, am I saying that if I was president, I would try to make as many unions with like third world leaders that pillage and rape their societies for all the gold and wealth that it has? Maybe. Depends on whether or not that Sudanese warlord is going to be of any use to us. I'm going to be honest with you. Sudan, it's not really that useful to us. We need some Djibouti people. We need some Eritreans. We need some, unfortunately to say it, we need some Somalis. We need them to, maybe we can have them clean up our mess in Yemen. Maybe we can have free citizenship. All Somalis who kill for every Houthi you kill, you get to bring an extra family member over. And listen, this is obviously a sharp escalation in tensions. The Houthis in Saudi Arabia have had a lot of relatively calm years under an informal ceasefire. This is kind of, obviously, when you stir up anything in the Middle East, it's like a soup, you know what I mean? The carrots are going to hit the celery, the garlic is going to hit the chicken, and this is the garlic hitting the chicken, because you know what I mean? Saudi Arabia is this big white piece of chicken, and it's about to get flavored the fuck out of by that garlic. So, international monitors, United Nations officials are warning that any attempts by rebels to target commercial tankers or blockade shipping lanes will reignite a full-scale fighting war in Yemen and could cause immediate disruptions to the global economy. No shit.
Yemen's Houthi rebels are threatening to target Saudi shipping in the Red Sea. Now, this is important because Saudi Arabia, like other Gulf nations, have been affected by Iran's chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, through which about a fifth of all the world's oil and natural gas passed in peacetime. Now, as the Iran war has been going on, Saudi Arabia has been using a pipeline to take oil to a Red Sea port and then export it from there. But Yemen's Houthi rebels, who the Saudi government and other Middle East nations have been locked in a war with all the way back since 2015, have been threatening to target Saudi ships in the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf of Aden, and the Bab el-Mandab Strait, which, like the Strait of Hormuz, is a key maritime waterway. Now, the Houthis don't have necessarily a large navy to do a naval blockade, but what they do have is Iranian-made drones and missiles. And during the Israel-Hamas war in the Gaza Strip, the Houthis attacked over 100 ships. There's a chance, if the Houthis carry out this threat, that they could disrupt Saudi oil shipments to Asia. That would have a big impact on global energy prices, which already are straining with the resumption of hostilities between Iran and the U.S. over the last several days.
Well, okay, that's not fun to hear. That's not a great speck of news, in all honesty. And we could go without another major global trade route being shut down. That wouldn't be fun. But that's exactly what I mean by power is changing. It doesn't dissipate. It's just changing forms. And a lot of these people where it was like, okay, power meant something. A big country from across, not even a big country. The UK was this little spock of shit on this map of Europe, and it was able to subjugate the entirety of the globe. It's the size of the military that mattered. The size of the military is depleted in the United States. Russia is also the same. Many of these global powers, they're stretched too thin. And they cannot guarantee the safety of the waterways or any trade routes, really on land also. I'm going to be honest with you. Unfortunately, the United States is, they're our word on anything. Our word to say, hey, you can go through that place. We'll cover you. Nowadays, it's more like, all right, take the risk. You know what I mean? We can't really guarantee every route through the Arabian Sea. And in all honesty, these little spots of land that we thought we could ignore, these little spots of land with people that we thought we would never have to care about, these people that, they're going to start formulating these little rebel groups. I imagine we're going to see the formulation of a couple new countries here in a few years. But I'm going to be honest. I think that this is reshifting how we think of global power. This is reshifting how we think about the idea. Oh, okay, yeah, big global superpowers. Not really. We're thinking about maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 major global powers. And then below that tier is tier 2 global powers, which we're talking about then. We're talking about Iran. We're talking about, unfortunately, you gotta include these disorganized groups, even though you're never going to be able to stomp them out. So it's like declaring a war on terror. Are you ever going to be really able to stop terror? So it is even worth putting ISIS on your target shield or anything like that? Obviously not. Obviously not. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where it's going to go from here. I'm honest enough to say that. But I know that it's not good. I know that it's not good. Just like this. St. Paul, triple homicide. Person of interest has been arrested, thankfully. Listen, this was an apartment complex leasing office in Highland Park, this beautiful neighborhood I've been to many times, in all honesty. This was Monday afternoon. Officers responded to the 1500 block of St. Paul Avenue shortly after 4 p.m. They received multiple reports of gunshots upon entering the leasing office. The police discovered 3 victims suffering fatal gunshot wounds. All 3 individuals were pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect initially fled the area, triggering a multi-agency effort. Late Monday night, law enforcement located and arrested the 30-year-old man in Virginia, Minnesota. I fucking hate how Minnesota has a Wyoming, Minnesota, a Virginia, Minnesota. That... I'm not that mad about it, but it really does bother me when you think you can just, and Tom Segura's made this joke. It's a great time to bring him up. You know what? He's been I hate when cities just name themselves after an awesome city. That is the same effect, except it's you're picking the most back den, nothing burger states. You might as well not, do we have Idaho by this time? Do we have a town called Idaho? I'd assume that we do. Isn't Idaho a character in the Amazing World of Gumball? Am I correct about this? Idaho, Amazing World of Gumball. Yes, I'm correct. He's the potato. Obvious. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a side thing. He was arrested in connection with the shooting. Homicide detectives, forensic teams are continuing to process the scene as they do work to establish a motive, confirm the details leading up to the shooting, and it sounds like, if I had to assume right now, I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know who the shooter is. I don't know who the victims were. But, sometimes you do, and if it was at the leasing office, I mean, come on, guys. You've had some conversations with your landlord or your leasing office where you're okay, this could have gone better. And I will admit, I've never taken it to as far as threatening to kill my property manager to her face. I mean, to her face, I would never do that. That's obviously, you can't do that. You can't ever threaten people that you're going to kill them. You know what I mean? You can threaten them in your brain. You can always be God, while you're texting them this very sweet thing, you can be you raising this fucking shit on me, raising the rent, trying to you can have all those moments internally. I've never been the type to be all right, time to pull out the Glock, and I pull out my gun. Authorities state there is no ongoing threat to the general public. Great. The identities of the victims will be released pending official medical examination and family notification. I believe this was this guy went ahead and said, fuck it. You know what I mean? You don't even give me that. You've refused to fix my in-unit washer and dryer, and you raise the rent on me again. I'm killing you all.
And we are following a developing situation out of St. Paul this morning where police now have a person of interest in custody after 3 people were shot and killed.
Our Chinu Her joins us now from the Live Center with the very latest on this investigation. Chinu, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Tom and Kelly. We know this morning investigators are still processing evidence from the scene, also looking through any video that they may have gotten from their investigation yesterday. We know the shooting happened around 4:30 p.m. yesterday. This happened on St. Paul Avenue, kind of near West 7th there. We know 3 people were killed, all adults, according to St. Paul police. These victims are all found dead in a leasing office.
Oh, that's good. Okay, listen, whenever I hear a story and they always have to confirm all adults, I'm always well, that's good. No children died. You know what I mean? That's a pretty common thing in America. We should at least celebrate the good things. There's always a silver lining, and no children died. 3 human being adults died, but not 3 children. That's nice.
at the apartments there on St. Paul Avenue. Police say they believe at least one of the people killed worked at the apartment. Again, they were all found dead.
I knew it. This bitch raised the rent and people finally had enough and they taught the bitch a lesson.
The leasing officers had to use a loudspeaker to tell the suspect to come out with his hands up. It's still unclear if the shooter was still inside at that time. As of 10 p.m. last night, police announced a person of interest was in custody. So we are still this morning working to learn more about what happened, what led up to this shooting. We do expect more information from St. Paul Police to be released later on this morning. So we'll stay on top of that, keep you updated here on the Fox 9 Morning News.
Morning News. Appreciate it. Hanyan Chen? I don't know your name. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the rapid fire section of today's headlines. Lots of things you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. Listen, and we don't always keep your media diet healthy by feeding you the right stuff. Sometimes we serve processed food, and this is processed food. This is a processed food story because it's so packaged. It's so like already done for me. You know what I mean? I have no jokes here. I just have to present you the story, and you'll find it funny on your own. So Hassan Piker. I mentioned this guy in the past where, I understand that he's passionate about socialism. He's like, I'm a democratic socialist of America and all this shit. And, I can think that he's wrong. That's fine. I don't have to make it like this. I owned him. Everybody wants to like the politics to be this debate where it's like there's this major like wins, losses. Oh, destiny roasts this person or whatever. He's just kind of, he's just this, he's a democratic socialist and he's like an avowed nut. He's like a crazy person, which is fine. He's not like, listen, all of these people are kind of crazy, and which is why calling someone crazy doesn't make them not listenable anymore. I would have voted for RFK Jr. and he is out of his mind. So that's what I mean. Crazy doesn't mean anything nowadays when you live in the United States. The United States is a country of crazy people. And if you don't believe me, talk to your own mother, talk to your uncle, talk to your father, talk to your brothers and sisters. You will get a sense that all of us, we all have our little kooky things about us or like little things that maybe we all believe that are maybe not the most appealing to other individuals, but that is all of us, and that's fine. I would, what's it called? I would hang out with Hassan Piker. I would call him a friend. I'd say, hey, maybe dressing up like Mao is not a great way to convince people that democratic socialism is the way. Maybe this is going to more so make you a joke in the eyes of a lot of political commentators, because this is not a serious person. And the reason that I criticize him this way is because I know he wants to be taken seriously. He wants to be this political voice. He's at the 2026 summer convention for the College Democrats of America. He wants to be taken seriously. He wants to be a public speaker. I'm this person with this podcast. I'm just here. I know that my opinion doesn't objectively matter. I know that I shouldn't tell anybody how to think. I am the last person to tell any person what to think, how to feel, whatever. And that's exactly why I'm the perfect person for this show, because I'm nuts. I'm out of my mind. I don't care about what people think about me. I'm not interested in like, oh, you should be careful about what you say on that podcast. You might get turned down from where? Where do you think I'm going to be applying that's really going to take me into serious consideration? You think I'm going to Harvard? You think I'm going to NASA and they're really going to be like, oh, you said some nasty shit on, like, really? Come on, guys. Let's get real and honest. If I'm not going to make a future in something regarding entertainment or something like this, I'm going to die on the streets, and that's fine. We're going to figure it out from there. I mean, we probably won't, but we'll try. And listen, I'm not out there trying to be convincing. I'm not out there trying to say I should be a congressman. I'm not out there saying that I should run. I should be speaking at the 2026 summer convention for College Democrats of America, because I call them all fags. I call them faggots. The same thing with the Republicans, because a lot of these people are closeted homosexuals. It's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, Hassan Piker, dressed as Mao. He's out there. He's a left-wing streamer. I think he would be proud of the left-wing label. He's facing backlash after speaking at the College Democrats of America convention while wearing a Mao-style suit. It's kind of like Mao. It's more like the Asian boy style. You know how Asians have that particular kind of suit where it goes all the way up to they button up. Like Americans and the Europeans, we have lapels. We have the big open kind of V section where you have room for a tie and all that. The Asians, the chinks have no time for that. They go ahead and they say, nope, whoop, all the way up. They button it all the way up, and then and it's like this really tight kind of thing, and they normally have like this nice Chinese smuggler haircut with it. It looks really good, but he does not look particular. I've never been the type to say that Hassan Piker is not attractive. He is. He's a decent looking guy. The Mao style makes him look a little too boxy. Like it's not, the build is not there for him. He's not short enough for it because he's a tall guy. He's like, how tall is Hassan? How tall is Hassan Piker? You guys can tell that I really don't edit. I don't try. I'm trying, you guys. 6'4". That's exactly what I mean. He's a tall dude. So I think that the boxy look, I'm going to pitch something. Can you show up in like a Lenin outfit next time? Because I understand that you're a big fan of China. You're a big fan of the uniform look. You're a big fan of like you like the uniformness of the Chinese look. I can tell just by the put together nature of you on this stage. I promise you, Lenin looked just as put together. Let's get some good pictures of Lenin up right now. Look at this guy. He looked sharp. He had this nice deep V still, but he wore a vest underneath. That's the thing, is he wore a vest so the V looked shorter, and he wore his coat unbuttoned. So this guy, I think this is classy. I think this communicates an intellectualist, which, you're trying to put on that kind of lens. Hassan, I'm saying that the best move right here, if you want to have some sort of like communist lean and you want to get a message out for the kids, this Mao kind of look makes you look a little silly. I think that we can keep this kind of smoky, real life Brian Griffin, energy. We can keep it going with a nice vintage Russian suit. Call me if you have any ideas.
No more to the Democrats who compromise, who conciliate, and who betray us. No more to the fascist reactionaries, but no more to the Democrats who will collaborate and cooperate with the fascists, who will fund ICE, who will fund Israel,
Whoa.
who will help poison the planet, who will stiff workers and help bosses. We don't need those Democrats anymore.
Help bosses? Who's boss? Wait, what boss? Are you talking about management? Okay, wait a minute. He's also going off on these tangents where I'm like, okay, I just need him to repeat some of that. Tell me, what is your general point?
No more to the fascist reactionaries, but no more to the Democrats who will collaborate and cooperate with the fascists, who will fund ICE, who will fund Israel, who will help poison the planet.
Okay, now we're lumping a lot of the ICE is a government facility. I understand that you might not be a fan of a lot of its current performances, but there are ways that we can either talk about. We can talk about restructuring. We can talk about consolidating a lot of their responsibilities to another government agency, and then as a result, abolishing ICE. But you're going to need ICE's jobs performed by somebody. He's using this very tanky, this language of like, the collaborators, the ones who will allow the fascists to pursue their image of the. It's like, I don't know, you're kind of losing me a little bit here. You know what I mean? And I want to be this avowed type. Dude, if I had a person where I could just throw out a Nazi salute real quick. Guys, it's a cool salute. It's like hand to the heart and stick your hand out. That we used to salute the flag like that, and in all honesty, I want somebody who makes us all passionate enough to do it again. And I don't think that this is it. I don't think this is the message, unfortunately. Either Hassan gets this right and he comes out in a Lenin outfit, or I'm coming out in a Hitler outfit with my first public appearance. I'm going to do a show coming out as Hitler. Ladies and gentlemen, and I will try to spread the message. I will get it right.
Who will stiff workers and help bosses. We don't need those Democrats anymore.
Stop using this like boisterous, like Teddy Rooseveltian. We know that that's not you. We've seen your streams. We know how you talk. There's not like this sort of. You're not a grandiose figure. Stop using the grandiose kind of speak.
In fact, we have a message. We are coming. We are on board.
We are coming.
We are coming.
Yes, we are. Hassan Piker, we are coming.
Message. We are coming.
We're coming hard.
We're on board.
Oh, we're coming hard.
We will become undeniable.
We will become.
In fact, we have a message.
We're coming.
We are on boss. We're on boss. We're unbound.
Oh!
Undeniable.
We're coming. All right, so listen, he's got the energy behind him. He's got like, I felt something there. I felt this was like we choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. He's got this electrifying energy, and especially when he goes into these like vaguely sexual references, it's like that right there. He's found the line right there. Now we just got to fix the attire. Listen, if he wants to be one of the greatest avowed socialists in the world right now, like trying to make moves, maybe running for president eventually, where's Hassan Piker birthplace? I need to know if he was born in the United States to know if he's even up. Yep, New Brunswick, New Jersey, United States of America. This guy could run for president. Unfortunately, am I saying I'm happy about it? Absolutely not. Hold on. Age. What's his age right now? He is 34. He'll be able to run next year. Oh, wait, no. Wait a minute. Hassan Piker age, does he have a birthday coming up this year? Come on. Give me a birth date. Motherfuckers, give me a birth date. July 25th. He will be available to run for president in 4 days. Ladies and gentlemen, first things first, we gotta get the image in order. We have to make sure that this democratic socialist bullshit, we cut that off entirely. If we're gonna be doing this, you gotta be an avowed communist, unfortunately, because you gotta separate yourself from the democratic socialists of America. They do not have a good image right now. Here is its co-chair, Gustavo Gordillo. He is now calling the United States Senate an undemocratic institution. He has just unveiled a new radical push to eliminate the Senate for the Democratic Socialists of America. This is apparently a new cause. So here is the platform that they are calling for: eliminating checks and balances, granting amnesty to all immigrants, abolishing the War Department, the Department of Defense. What are we talking about? Passage of the Green New Deal. There's some issues with that we'd have to work out. Establish a wealth tax, replacing the presidency and Supreme Court with a new executive and judiciary subordinate to and chosen by Congress, and a 32-hour work week with no reduction in pay or benefits. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. That's an unelectable platform, unfortunately. Let's hear it. Maybe in his own words, it'll sound better.
So you don't want to abolish the Senate, United States Senate, because that's what Article 1 is.
The United States Senate is an undemocratic institution. It gives more representation to people in smaller states.
By the way, everybody who's doing this like fake little states, I enunciate like a woman, we got to drop that right now. We have to drop it. We have to stop pretending. We have to stop joking. The majority of you who are speaking that way are faking it. You're doing it just to signal to other gay people that you're gay. We need to stop. If you want people to take you seriously, you know why Pete Buttigieg is a real candidate, possibility? Because he doesn't talk like that. He doesn't talk like an absolute fairy.
Than to the 30
That's
30
where you have
million
the
people in
balance. So you've
California.
got the House of Representatives, which is population-driven, and then you've got the Senate. So every state, if you're a small state, you still get 2 senators, even though you only get maybe 1 congressman, in order to make...
And that's, I understand that. I understand it to a degree where you want to keep it fair, especially in states where, yes, it might have lesser individuals. You still want an even representation throughout the states. You do not want concentrations of people to have all of the power to govern how everybody else is going to live their lives. I do not think a lot of people are just with that. I don't think a lot of people understand that. In all honesty, the majority of us, the original idea was not that a lot of us probably shouldn't vote. A lot of people, only probably landowners, only probably the people who that was the original idea. Was it like, oh, if you're heavily invested in society, yeah, and if you're a dude and if your last name's not Goldberg, then yeah, sure, you get an opinion, but otherwise, why else would we listen to you? Now, I think we need a decent balance between that. And we need a decent balance between everybody's voice. Everybody's voice matters so much that we need to abolish the Senate. I think there's an even little sweet ground in between there to where we can make this kind of framework between democracy, the way that our founders thought of it. We can make it work. We can make it work if you're willing to tool with it. And I'm saying that full abolishment, full dismantling, that's never going to work. It's how you reorganize a country that is not the United States. It's how you reorganize a country like Libya. It's how you reorganize a country like Algeria. Well, maybe they're larger countries. They're not the hardest to get in order.
The states have fair representation. So You say, I'm just confused.
When you ask normal Americans
Yeah.
if Congress and the Senate and our political system is working for them, most people are very unhappy with the political system, and they say it's not working for them. When we think about the 250th anniversary of the United States, and we think about our proudest moments in U.S. history, I think of times like when ordinary people rose up and they changed the Constitution to abolish slavery, to give women the right to vote.
Everyone's proud of that.
And
that's a nationwide pride in the country.
But back in those moments, those were considered radical movements because those people dared to say we need transformative.
Yeah, okay. This show is pretty radical. People would consider it to be pretty radical, pretty out there. That's because a lot of people are fucking idiots and they don't like to think with ideas that are far beyond themselves or others. And, you know, I'm not the type. I'm not a fantasy guy. I don't get into communism. I understand it to an extent to where, you know, people have to be very naive in order to believe that it can work on a grand scale. You have to be very naive. You also have to be very rich in order to believe that it works in the first place. You have to be coming from a place of privilege to believe that, oh yeah, farmers, they'll just go along with it. Oh yeah, people who actually like go out and climb electric poles and shit like that, they'll go out, they'll do that. Like the lower class people will just go along with it. I can understand the people that don't work for a living believing in communism. I can understand the people who do not have a hands-on job believing in communism. But otherwise, people who have worked for something in their lives, people who have done their best to create a career for themselves, they understand the value in like, oh, hard work in making something of yourselves. And I understand that we're talking about an area where people want to go, there's disadvantagement, there's this, that, and the other thing. If the solution comes down to other people having less rights and other people having to sacrifice their time, efforts towards causes that they don't really see the full benefits from the full reaping of their rewards, it goes really towards this grand system that kind of evenly distributes it out to the people that are below it. That is a system that's designed to, unfortunately, it's what a lot of people claim is the capitalist system we live under. And admittedly, we live under a form of capitalist oligarchy. We live under a form of capitalism that is not free market. We live in a form of capitalism that, quite honestly, we haven't seen before on this planet. So, listen. Whatever you want to say about it, whatever you want to say, I just don't think that communism is the right solution. And you're going to have a hard time convincing me.
Change in the United States.
Right.
And
well,
I think
we struggle to become a more perfect union. But I just want to ask you again, do you want to abolish the United States Senate? Because you said you approve of Article 1, but then you said you didn't think the Senate works.
We think that the Senate should be reformed, that we should have a more democratic government.
There's a difference, but though you've used the term abolishment, that is not refer to reform. When I say I wish to abolish child marriage in the Middle East, when I say I wish to abolish Christianity, when I say I wish to abolish Islam, when I say I wish to abolish Judaism, I do not mean I wish to reform them. I wish for them to be cleansed from this earth, and I wish for their remnants to be scrubbed clean.
But that's a long-term change that we're seeking, and in the short term, we're focused on issues like affordability, like freezing the rent, which we've just done in New York, like creating a universal childcare system.
And by the way, you didn't do it in New York. You did it for a small subset of people who were already getting decent amount of government handouts. So, and by the way, the freeze was stacked on top of what was already going to be. These landlords are already kind of struggling. They don't already, like, I know that everybody wants to go with the idea that all landlords are these slum lords rubbing their hands together and whatnot. Some of them are, for sure, and some of them don't fix their tenants, with washing machines. Some of them ignore their tenants, and when there's a baby crying and all this shit, they're like, I'm not fixing that draft, that window is fine, and then the baby freezes to death. You know, that I'm not gonna pretend that there's no slumlords. I'm not gonna say that. You will never catch me saying that. But I will be the type to say that, rent freezes are not the permanent solution. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to something else. Drinking up to 5 cups of coffee per day may potentially lower heart disease risk. I don't know if up to 5. I think it's 3 to 5 cups a day. It's a statement from the American Heart Association. However, this does not apply for energy drinks. I know people who are like gross on energy drinks, like people who I know people who have hurt themselves physically and have heart issues now as a result of their consumption of energy drinks. And this is, maybe it's coming from somebody where I grew up with coffee. I grew up where my grandma, she would tell me stories and whatnot. She'd be like, in Panama, my mother, we had to make the water safe, so you have to boil it. And she'd pour it over the coffee grounds. And her mother, because she was blind as a kid, she would put the rice and whatnot on the ground right in front of my grandma. It was the rice bowl and a little cup of coffee. And she, ever since, I give her credit largely for formulating my addiction to coffee. Listen, my mom was smart. She was like, don't get him on that. My mom was intelligent. She was like, he already has an issue with Reese's. He already has an issue with candy. He already loves his chocolate too much. Do not get him on coffee. And then my grandma proceeded to give me, she'd dump spoonfuls of sugar in it. She'd give me the creamer and whatnot. And then before you knew it, me and my mom were drinking coffee every single morning. So that's what I mean, is that it starts out as this little thing. It's a little thing that maybe it's permitted to you. You know what I mean? Your grandma signs off on it. Your mom signs off on it. Whoever got you started on coffee, and then it slowly develops into an addiction. I choose not to go over 3 cups a day. And personally, that's my limit. When I have 1 to 2, I start to feel like a little bit of this thing in my chest where I'm like, okay, my breathing is tighter. I feel like this, I feel like a focus. I feel like this desire to get things done. But then when I start to push it a little bit more, then if I have a coffee in the middle of the afternoon, or God forbid before bed or anything like that, I do not want to go to bed with a racing heart. And I struggle with that. I'm very caffeine sensitive. Fortunately, I think that I'm caffeine sensitive as a result of drinking coffee my entire life, which is a good thing. You should be a degree caffeine sensitive. You should not be able to down an entire pitcher of coffee. You should not be able to do all of this sort of stuff. I'm not going to tell you what you should be able to do or shouldn't be able to do. You know your body probably better than I do. And I'm not a doctor. So what am I even saying? I should probably stop talking and let them talk.
New scientific statement from the AHA says that 3 to 5 8-ounce coffee drinks are safe for most adults, and that regular coffee consumption may even be linked to a lower risk of stroke, diabetes, and heart failure. But this only applies to paper-filtered or instant coffee, and natural caffeine, highly concentrated energy drinks are linked to cardiovascular harm.
Well, you don't want that, do you? You don't want that. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want cardiovascular harm. I also don't want harm to my life in general. I love living a life that's free. I love living a life where I can go to Walmart. I love living a life where Hornbacher's is like a jaunt away. You know what I mean? I love living a life where I can just be free, and I can be a normal person. I can go to a gas station. I can probably say hi to you if you're listening to this show. If you work out in the world, there's a chance that you'll bump into me. There's a higher chance of you bumping into me than David or the Andrew Tate brothers right now. Listen, these three gentlemen hold one thing in common. They're all in custody. And Andrew and Tristan Tate, they've appeared in a Miami courtroom after a British prosecutor unveiled new waves of charges, including rape. Authorities from the UK are seeking an extradition. They are set to fight it. Let's get a brief rundown, because I don't want to spend the entirety of the day on these guys. I will say more when we do actually have news to report on, but otherwise, I just want people to get the rundown of the charges.
While cameras were not permitted inside the courtroom, the brothers appeared in tan jumpsuits and confirmed they were aware of the new charges, where British officials accused them of rape, assault, human trafficking, and offenses related to indecent images of a child. The alleged offenses dating from 2010 through 2017.
First reaction to the allegations is the first reaction that any innocent man or woman would have. It's garbage. It's a stitch-up job. They're after us to punish us with the process. The process is the punishment. When you drag somebody's name through the media, when you slander them, when you defame them, when you accuse them of heinous and terrible allegations, the process becomes the punishment until you can clear your name.
But defense attorneys said their clients were surprised by the new charges filed in the UK and denied any wrongdoing.
Okay, well, it'll be sorted out. Whether or not they're guilty, I have no clue. I need to look into them a little bit more before I can make any solid claims of guilt or innocence. One person that I know is innocent is singer David. Listen, he's facing several charges in the death of this teenage girl, and it's set to take place next week. Not the murder, the trial. During the hearing, prosecutors will present their evidence and testimony. The judge will then decide if there's enough to proceed to trial. This trial, there's not much to say about it. It's just deciding whether or not they should actually decide. They should, have a trial about whether or not this guy murdered a 14-year-old girl. Maybe that's a worthwhile conversation. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
The preliminary hearing for singer David is set to begin tomorrow.
He's accused of murdering Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was just 14 years old at the time. With what to expect from the hearing, we are joined now by investigative reporter Kevin Ozebek. Kevin.
Well, Michelle, this hearing will likely last just a few days. There's no jury, just a judge. But prosecutors will argue to that judge that the evidence is there to bring in a jury and try David for murder.
I don't like his music, unfortunately, anymore. I liked Here With Me. I thought it was fine when it dropped. I thought it was this nice kind of mellow. I like mellow music. I like kind of slower and whatnot. And it kind of fit in that same exact kind of jam. And I listen back to him now, and it's just, it's the Bob Dylan effect, where it's like sometimes it sounds good for the music, sometimes it's just a dude who you want to shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, Bob Dylan has this kind of, it's this or that effect for me, where it's either, okay, I can do with like, oh, the times they are changing, that's fine. No, it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for, babe. That one's fine. There's a few where you don't mind his singing voice. I do not like his feature on, was it Where We Are the World that he was featured on? Hold on a second. While this clip plays, I'm going to pull this up.
Dramatic music made him a rising star with 40 million monthly listeners on Spotify. But now, David is a murder suspect in the heinous death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So what's the burden on prosecutors here? What do they need to prove in this hearing that they don't necessarily need to prove in a trial?
The burden of proof at a preliminary hearing is low. It's just probable cause.
Former federal prosecutor Nima Rumani believes prosecutors will have no problem convincing a judge that their evidence against David should be seen by a jury.
There's no doubt that the prosecution is going to call witnesses at the preliminary hearing. I expect several law enforcement witnesses, primarily LAPD detectives, who are going to summarize the evidence in this case.
According to court documents, that evidence includes surveillance video showing David was the last person to drive his Tesla. It was in the front trunk of that Tesla where Celeste's body was found severely mutilated and badly decomposing, as well as text messages between the two that contain references to sex, pregnancy, abortion, and use of the Plan B emergency contraceptive. And the fact
wow. So he was like, you better take a Plan B, you better take care of that. And wasn't she found with the fetus still in her? I don't know. That's at least what I heard from the investigation. Whatever, I might be wrong. Here as a, as penance for me possibly being wrong, here's Bob Dylan rehearsing We Are the World.
We're saving our own lives. That's true, we make a better day. Just you and me.
Just you and me.
What's that?
Oh, what's that, man?
That's beautiful. And you know what's nice, man, is you singing along with the chorus like that too. That's the only time we do an octave like that. That's beautiful.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, just after you and me. But I mean, the thing you were doing up there, you were singing along with the chorus list. I mean, 3 other children. That's nice, man. Just a little closer to you. Okay, that's beautiful.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Come on. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me. We are the world. We are the children. That's a great song. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should move on to our final story. Stop wasting your guys' time. There's some serious shit going on. You need to know about it. I know. You don't want to know about it, but you're gonna. The United States, the Iran war. There's no earthly way of knowing where it's going. It's only getting worse, unfortunately. And Donald Trump has issued a stern warning to Tehran. He has said that Iran, all of you are gonna face military action many times over for any U.S. troops killed in the ongoing Middle Eastern conflict. Listen. Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes, the danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that we are slowing, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump stated that he has formally issued this directive to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Daniel Kane, and military commanders across the theater. This is after the Pentagon has confirmed 3 American fatalities in separate attacks, 2 service members killed during an Iranian missile and drone strike on a base in Jordan, another killed in northern Iraq during a disposal operation involving a downed drone. The latest deaths are bringing the total number of U.S. military fatalities since the onset of the hostilities to 17 officially. In response, United States Central Command confirmed that it has carried out an additional couple waves of precision airstrikes inside Iran, targeting command centers, air defense systems, missile and drone launch facilities. Military officials are saying that these strikes are designed to disrupt Iranian capabilities, although it is disrupting our American capabilities alongside it, because the more we spend on someone else's military, the less we have of ours. It's going well for them. Iran, they wanted to disrupt the commercial shipping routes in the Strait of Hormuz, and now we're disrupting them, apparently, to avenge the fallen American casualties. So, despite the intensified campaign, the counterstrike exchanges across the neighboring Gulf states, administration officials indicate that the diplomatic channels have not been completely closed. Secretary of State Marco Rubio noted that while military operations will continue as long as the vital international waterway remains under threat, the United States maintains an open door to functional diplomatic resolution.
Overnight, U.S. Central Command releasing video of its 10th night of strikes, flying deep into Iran, targeting command centers, launch sites, and air defenses. Here, a strategic port crucial to Iran's oil industry on fire. Iranian state media releasing its own satellite images, which NBC News can't verify. Iran saying it shows the aftermath of an attack at a base here in Jordan, where 2 U.S. service members were killed Friday and Saturday. 19-year-old Private Isabella Gonzalez and 25-year-old Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan from Hawaii, where the flags are at half-staff this morning. The Pentagon saying they were part of a long-term mission in the region to combat the terror group ISIS, though the president earlier this week praised their efforts against Iran.
Is anyone else convinced that ISIS isn't real? Like, I'm convinced that ISIS, Al-Qaeda, all this shit, this is fucking made up, fake. It's all government operatives designed to, cause tensions in a region so that the military has an excuse to be there, so that, we can level the place out, have a couple military contracts, have a couple real estate contracts after we turn that place into a war zone. There's a lot of fun things we can do, and I'm starting to believe that this whole ISIS bullshit, honestly, government operatives.
Great patriots are out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. CENTCOM now says 100 U.S. service members have been injured in the past 2 weeks, though it says 96% returned to duty. President Trump posting, every time Iran kills an American soldier, they will pay for that killing many times over. But Iran firing more missiles, sending another barrage to Jordan last night, unnerving its capital city. Air raid sirens across Oman.
Missiles and drones are coming.
Issuing a rare global travel warning to Americans abroad. Here in Jordan, 3 missiles were intercepted. More air defenses like Patriot systems, now desperately needed by America's allies and partners in the Gulf, will take time.
We are increasing those by about 3-fold over the next couple of years. So even as we speak, we're investing something to the order of $8 to $9 billion.
As both sides continue to exchange strikes. And yet another threat to the global economy, Willie, an Iranian-backed group, the Houthis, now threatening another shipping lane. Saudi Arabian ships in that lane, they say, will not be allowed to pass. That has the potential to further push up oil prices and global inflation, Willie.
Your Simmons and Jordan this morning, Keir. Thank you.
I wish that the Middle East was so simple. I wish that you could be just this white-headed, fucking bobble-headed loser in America, and I wish you could go, the Jews are mentioned in my book, so, they're probably the ones in the right, and I don't like the Arabs that work at Walmart, so I'll support Israel or something. But then, you support Israel, and then you're in the same boat as, like, Miam Balak, like these, Miam Balak, how do you pronounce her name? Bialik? The bitch who played the bitch on, what's it called? Big Bang Theory. Yeah, she's an actress. She's a neuroscientist. Yeah, of course. She studied the brain or some shit, so she knows something. I read a book once. She rose to fame in the 1990s for her role on the TV show Blossom. Oh, of course, she earned her bachelor's degree in Hebrew and Jewish studies and neuroscience. That's the thing, and neuroscience, and later a PhD in neuroscience. So she dropped the Jew shit, but oddly enough, she still reads her kid. This one book called Under the Rocket's Glow. It's this beautiful. It's a children's book about the cleansing of Gaza and how the Jews are rightfully in the area where they belong, ladies and gentlemen. Miam Chaya Balak, I love you, you Jewish woman. You're an icon. You're an icon to your gender. You're an icon to your fixture, to your religion, and your people. Quite frankly, you know what I mean. You're exactly what all of them, unfortunately, are. Just like you look at Erica Kirk. It's a pretty good summation of a lot of Catholics I know, and Miam Balak is a good summation of a lot of Jews that I'm very familiar with, ladies and gentlemen. I'm tired of talking about psychopaths. I'm tired of talking about child traffickers. So I think I'm going to call it a day for this one. I hope you had a more wonderful time than I had gathering these stories. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. If you want more, we'll be back at it again tomorrow, the rest of the week, to cover whatever stories may drop. Subscribe if you want more. Like if you liked it. Ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. Thank you so very much for listening. I'll catch you in the next episode, and bye-bye.